The refs did their best to keep the Packers from winning this week, but all Aaron Rodgers and Mason Crosby needed was 37 more seconds to bring the Green and Gold their second victory of the season. We'll recap that highly entertaining game against the Niners, listen to some feedback from you, preview next week's game against the Steelers, and get your opinion on Rodgers' future. All this on your Packers Fan Podcast.
Welcome to episode 232 of the old PFP. Wayne Henderson from Media Voiceovers here with you. And the Heart Attack Pack, I gotta say, they really wear me out emotionally and physically, but I'm still smiling.
That's always a good sign. And I'm Scott Clark from the Gaming Outsider, and wow, are my emotions out of whack after this week's game as well. But our Packers prevailed, and I couldn't be happier to see them in first place in the division. On this episode of Packers Fan Podcast, we will recap that San Francisco game. And as is tradition, we have your listener voicemails from 920-3PACK-GO and by email, as well as in our Facebook group. Wayne, doesn't it feel good to win in California?
It's about time. Because we should have beaten the Rams a few years ago. We should have beaten the Chargers a couple years ago. And the 49ers. Better late than never, right?
Absolutely. As long as it's happening right now, it makes me happy.
This is a good time for it. We're also going to be looking forward. We're going to be previewing this Sunday's home game against the Steelers. And be sure to check out Scott's Keys to Victory this week a little later in the show. Let's dig in to some highlights from what I would say is an amazing victory over the hated 49ers. I mean, overall, it was a pretty impressive first half. Well, at least until that horrific kickoff return we allowed the Niners to get that was close to the end of the first half. I mean, there was good stuff from Rodgers, Jones, Adams, and even Tunyon again.
I love that he's spreading the ball all over the place. I know Adams is still his favorite target, which we'll get to towards the second half of the game, but it is good to see him doing a little bit more than just throwing to Adams throughout the other four quarters. And
a name that I didn't really recall seeing until this season, and then in this game, he was all over the place. Number 59, Devondre Campbell. He was a bright spot in this game on defense, in my opinion.
I agree, and I know we talked about him last week as well, but it's good to see Stokes out there just making plays. I know he got some negative things happen to you, which we'll get to here shortly, but I feel so much better about that pick. I really do. Like, we were all kind of scratching our heads a little bit, but I am really digging that quite a bit.
Wayne Henderson was not scratching his head with that pick. If you listen back.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not saying. I'm just saying in general. A lot of people.
Roger that.
Rodgers that. See what I did there?
Oh,
anyway,
well done.
Towards the end of the game, the biggest highlight was the Niners took. It wasn't a highlight that the Niners took the lead, but the Niners did take the lead for the first time with 37 seconds left in the game. Hashtag too much time for AR12. What a incredible series of events that was. I was a little surprised, and I think you mentioned it to me via text right when it happened, is why didn't they down the ball at the 1 yard line so that they could, we're talking about the Niners at this point, because they just ran that or did a 12-yard pass. He should have just downed it, inside the one so they could just, stick one in there and make it happen. But they wanted to get the points on the board, and that gave Aaron Rodgers entirely too much time. And Mason Crosby did all the rest after two long passes to Davante Adams, leading for a field goal, and the celebration, the excitement on everybody's face in the end zone. Oh, to be Mason Crosby for that game, it just would have been insane. And I don't know how you were feeling watching that kick, Wayne, but I was watching that going, no, it's too far left. Are we okay? And it went through, and it was glorious.
I'm pretty sure that's how all of us were thinking when that kick first landed. But what a celebration. Like you said, it was joyous. I had to replay the final 60 seconds of the game a few times last night, because going from the Niners scoring way too quickly and the crowd and the team getting overconfident. I mean, have they not seen the many other final 30 seconds of victory that Aaron Rodgers is able to pull with the help of Davante Adams and others?
Absolutely. It was just a joyous thing to see. And then watching Rodgers at the end of the game, talking to the reporters with a smile on his face. I know people are still indifferent about Rodgers. I had my comments a couple weeks ago after the loss, but still got crazy respect for the man. He just is able to pull it off, and I love it. And did you hear the comment he made in the interview where he said, "How can you not be romantic about football?" Which I don't know if you picked up on it, but at least for me, that's a line from the movie Moneyball, which was talking about baseball. How can you not help but be romantic about baseball? I kind of wonder if he lifted that from that movie, which if you haven't seen Moneyball, make that happen as soon as possible. It's a fantastic movie with Brad Pitt.
Okay, I have not seen it, so I did not catch the reference, but you may be spot on there. Yeah. Happy night.
Absolutely. It was great. Also had a couple of nice sacks by Rashawn Gary. 2 of them were back-to-back plays at like a perfect time. So really great to see things happening, not only offensively, but we had some good defensive plays as well, especially in the first half. Second half we'll get to. And speaking of, Wayne, let's talk about the second half defense because, man, after halftime, San Francisco came out with a vengeance. And even though our defense was solid in the first half, they just seemed to lose it in the second half, which is so frustrating for me as a fan just to see you guys did so well. Can you just do it the whole game, please?
That would be nice. And it looked like the 49ers were doing the best job of making second half adjustments, at least for the most part. And we had to adjust to their adjustments to hang on and get a few more points. And yeah, everything just started unraveling. I'm like, no, you had a 17-point lead. You cannot let it get fully away from you.
I agree.
I do have a question, though. Do you totally agree with LaFleur's point about the refs totally missing Garoppolo's intentional grounding just before their touchdown that they got going in before the half?
Yes, I believe that was a complete miscall. I don't understand. He was clearly in the pocket. I don't understand the call whatsoever, and especially because that would have ended the half. Straight up it would have been ended the half, and then we would have not have had the nail biter that we did at the end of the game. I mean, at the end of the day, we won the game, so I'm fine. But the officiating was frustrating all around. And look, I say this a lot on this show, Wayne. I feel like we got the raw deal with the officiating this week a lot. There wasn't just the intentional grounding. There was a pass interference against Stokes where he lightly touched the guy on the shoulder. There was a roughing the passer call that was super suspect, and then Adams got his bell rung with a helmet-to-helmet hit, and there was no flag on that. I made the comment, I think, in our Facebook group that maybe if he had pushed his shoulder, there would have been a flag called because that's what it took for Stokes to get pass interference. But with all that said, I refuse to go down the rabbit hole of thinking that the refs are out to get us. It would have been hard if we did not get that field goal at the end to not blame the refs. I agree, but all kinds of there was a bunch of bad calls this week. Did you see the Lions game where with that winning field goal that Justin Tucker, which we'll talk about later, they were 2 seconds past the play clock being gone when that ball was snapped. So that should have been a delay of game. And he wasn't gonna kick a 71-yard field goal.
Wow, that would be incredible. I mean, is it possible that the refs are actually on strike again, and we have the replacement refs back that gave us that underwhelming finish to that Seattle game back in the day?
I mean, has there been any? I haven't heard any stirrings.
No, I just think the actual regular refs are playing and calling the game as poorly as the replacement refs. I don't think they're necessarily out to get us, but it was very frustrating, and I was screaming at my TV, and especially like you talked about when Davante Adams was basically unconscious on the field, and there was not even a flag of any kind. It was insane. But
especially after that PI call, the previous series, I watched that replay so many times where Stokes touched his shoulder. He was like a step behind him. I don't understand how that was pass interference. It just drove me crazy.
So I guess the question would be, in addition to the Packers watching game film for our next opponent, do we also watch any game film on the upcoming refs so that we can, kind of be prepared because we got to take on both teams at once?
Yeah, see which roughing crew we've got so we know how to act, do something like that.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. Well, that was our thoughts on the games. We want to hear your thoughts on the games, dear listener. So we are going to start with our voicemail line, which is 920-3PACK-GO. And please be sure to call that number after game time if you'd like to hear your voice on the show. Or you can send your voice message to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com. What do we got, Wayne?
2 and 1. 2 and 1. 2 and 1. Woo!
Yeah.
This is Megan and Pete.
What's up? What's happening?
Go Pack Go. We just finished the 49ers game. It was freaking awesome. Suspenseful finish. Like, down to the wire. I mean, my gosh. But a hell of a team win. Our defense, I mean, there were a lot of good parts about today's game. Pete?
Monkey off the back, baby. I know last year they were decimated by injuries, so there was that whole thing. But, man, it was good to go to San Fran and steal a dub in front of a full stadium and a full attack on their squad. So
with a bunch of doubters.
Yeah.
Yeah, for no reason. And, yeah, it's cool to see Jones kind of continue his running through from last week. He's just all of a sudden 10 yards ahead. Like, I don't know, I mean, our blocking, our O-line was extremely impressive, honestly. He got sacked once, I think? If that. I think once, yeah. But yeah, like giving Aaron room to run and protecting the other Aaron is just crazy. It was awesome. It's really cool to know we have that depth if we need it. Hopefully we don't, but if we need it.
And there were some quintessential Aaron Rodgers throws in that game. Like put it in a box that no one else could humanly possible do. The touchdown to MVS in the corner, ran a flag route over the defender's hand. Yeah. Incredible.
Also, Jaws interception. We got to call him that apparently, according to me. And the interception was crazy.
Hell yeah.
We miss you guys. Love the podcast. Green and gold till we're dead and cold.
Go Pack Go, baby.
Bring on Pittsburgh. I should know that. That's embarrassing. All right. Go Pack Go.
Down go the Niners, baby. This is your boy Pete and your girl Megan.
Devondre Campbell is everywhere. He was everywhere last week, too, and makes a lot of really big stuff, which is really awesome to have him. And then you were going to talk about Mason.
Oh, just ice in his veins. Mace Crosby for the win. Love to see it on the road. Guys so composed and collected. And
cool, collected.
Yeah. Only Bob. Pile it up. It was great to see Mace just chip shot a 51-yarder through. No big deal.
No biggie.
On the road. So good to see the Silver Fox in action. Guy, love the dude. He's as solid as it gets. I think he's the all-time leading Packers scorer at one point.
I agree with that.
And love when he comes through in the clutch. And how about Matt? To get
Matt looked good.
That head-to-head win against his bud.
Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, Matt for Coach of the Year, for Coach of Life, honestly. Mm-hmm. He deserves more credit. I love watching him. Joe Barry stepped it up for sure today. And then the other one we wanted to shout out was, Rashawn Gary with his 2 sacks. People kind of talk about him. And Eric Stokes. He had 1 miss, but he showed like really quality effort in my opinion. Yeah, it was really good to see him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so on that note, we'll sign off.
We can't wait to see those Steelers in town next week.
Okay, thanks for the podcast. Green and gold, we're dead and cold. Sorry for the lack of energy. We'll try to bring it more next week. Go Pack Go!
Go Pack Go!
2 and 1. 2 and 1. 2 and 1. Woo!
Always great to hear from Megan and Pete. Thank you so much for the voicemail, guys. I love the term monkey off the back. Yes, that monkey is definitely off our back. We've won in California against the 49ers, and it feels good for sure. It's awesome to get that win over there in front of their crowd. And see all the Packers fans in the stands, too. That was great. I will agree with Megan talked about the O-line protecting Aaron Rodgers. He had plenty of time back there. Like she said, there was the 1 sack, I believe, maybe 2. I'm only thinking of 1, but don't quote me on it. But he had a lot more time back there this time, and the receivers were getting open very quickly. So it was really, really good to see. I love when we call Crosby the Silver Fox because he's getting up there, man. But he's still got it. Ice in his veins for sure. Love it. Also, Megan did add I'm not sure if this was did I miss it? She said props to my guy Kenny Clark on the forced fumble. Your guy, Kenny Clark. That's my guy, Kenny Clark. We share a last name.
That's a good point, but I think he's everybody's Kenny Clark.
He's everybody's Kenny Clark, yeah.
Yeah, always good to hear back from Megan and Pete, back on schedule in the season. And excellent point about the protection for Aaron Rodgers, considering we were playing with our third string left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And Frisco has, a fairly reputable pass rush. But, oh yeah, go Pack, go.
When is Bakhtiari back? We got like another 2-3 weeks, something like that?
I think so. I think it was something like 6 to 8 weeks, but these things can fluctuate a bit. But I'm hoping.
Yeah, I mean, if Adams can get his bell rung and then come out on the next play, I think, anything can happen, right?
That was insane. I thought when it first happened, I thought, I hope he's okay. And I hope he's not out for 6 or 8 weeks himself.
Yeah, and then he was on the field, and I was just like, what?
Is that the same guy? And then he made incredible catches, so obviously it was the same guy.
What a game. Go, Pack, go. Go, Pack, go. Congratulations, Green Bay Packers, on beating the 49ers and the NFL officiating team for Monday Night Football. What a game. Clutch Mason Crosby. Go, Pack, go. Got a little excited and forgot to give my name for that one. It's Bill from Portland. Go, Pack, go.
Go, Pack, go to you as well, Bill. Thank you so much for the call and adding the little addendum with your name because we wanted to make sure we knew who it was. And yes, definite props going out to the Packers for beating the 49ers and the officiating crew.
Hey, Wayne and Scott, this is Rick from Wisconsin calling. That was an absolutely epic game, and that's the way the Packers need to play to be in the playoffs. And it's great to get the monkey off their back by beating San Francisco and overcoming all the bad calls or non-calls in that game is what you have to do. You can't let those things defeat you. You just have to play better, good enough to overcome them, which they did tonight. And my wife was really upset when the 49ers scored, and I said, Rodgers can still get them down the field, and they can still win with a field goal, which is exactly what they did. And I thought it was just fantastic. Even though their defense did a lot to give those 49ers drives to keep going with some of the dumb penalties, but, they really did what they needed to. So we'll see if they can keep it up through the year, and we'll see. Maybe they'll end up playing my favorite team in the fall because Carolina is the only NFC team that's still 3-0. So we'll see how that season ends up for them. So thanks for doing the show. Talk to you later.
Thanks so much, Rick, for your voicemail. He mentioned also the monkey on the back in his voicemail. And I was just thinking while I was listening to that, Wayne, there's another monkey that's off our back for this season that I didn't even really think of until just now.
What's that?
Is we have played our Monday night game and we've played our Sunday night game, which are usually big. That's a big deal. It's a much bigger televised audience. Highlighted game, usually playing up against a rough team, and we've won both of those. So we have got that monkey off of our back as well, and we can kind of just play the regular Sunday games for at least most of the rest of the season. I don't think we have another Sunday night or Monday night game, unless I'll have to go back and look at the schedule when we get there. But
we don't have another. We have a Thursday night game at the end of October, but we don't have another Sunday or Monday night game until December. So thank goodness. Plus, it gives listeners a little more time to get in their feedback to us, and that's a win-win.
Right. Absolutely. Packers versus Panthers playoff matchup. Man, that's a scary thought. Christian McCaffrey is a force to be reckoned with, but bring it. I say bring it.
And Rick knew all along with 37 seconds left to go in the game that Rodgers could still get them down the field and maybe even win it with just a field goal. We're going to call you Nostradamus, Rick, in Wisconsin.
Hey, this is Chris, and wow, what a game, huh? Packers were looking strong that first half, moving the ball well. Second half kind of seemed like they were playing against the refs. Might be a little bit biased, but it was some pretty bad calls out there. Give props to Stokes. I think he played an awesome game, stepping in. Don't know what's up with King. Maybe they ought to possibly think about letting him go. Here's to a great, awesome Packer victory. Rodgers. How about Crosby? Mr. Clutch, huh? He's right up there with Rodgers. Let's go. Let's rock on, man. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go indeed, Chris. So good to hear from you at 920-3-PACK-GO. And yeah, the Packers looked strong in the first half, a little iffy in the second half, the bad calls, but always good to give some props out to Stokes because he had some shoes to fill and he had a big job ahead of him.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how I feel about King. He's been kind of making a bunch of errors the last few games. I'm happy with the replacement. I'm really digging what Stokes is doing, so I'd say just keep him in there for now, at least until King is healthy again. We can get him in there.
Yeah, I don't exactly know what kind of illness King has, but hopefully he does feel better soon and hopefully playing better than ever.
Wayne Scott, Art from Texas. Goodness, the cardiac Packers. Wow, man, the offensive line really stepped it up. Man, those young guys, Kenny Clark on defense, wow, powerhouse. Stokes, again, like I said last weekend, I'm stoked on Stokes. And our punter, that booming punt, man, it was a close one. It was a good one. It was a fantastic game, even much better since we won. But man, incredible! I can't wait to hear Andre's voice message. Thank you very much, Art from Texas.
I love it. Even our listeners look forward to hearing Andre's Go Pack Goes. That's amazing. I love Art's phrase, the cardiac Packers. We always say heart attack pack, but I don't know. Cardiac pack attack kind of has a little bit of a ring to it. Maybe Art's onto something there.
I think so.
I do agree with him. The O-line really stepped up. We mentioned that already. Obviously, Kenny Clark is amazing. Our punter is not getting enough love this season, I think. How do you pronounce it? Is it Bojortles? I can never pronounce it correctly, but he is just sticking them in there in the right places. As much as I would like to see our special teams do better on defending, you got to give it to him. He's doing a great job sticking it in the right places at the right time. So yeah, I agree with you, Art.
And then we got this call. He doesn't say who he is, but I do think the mystery caller who was at the 49ers game to witness our fabulous victory may be listener Jay.
Hey guys, just walking out of the stadium now. What a great game. We drove up from Orange County. Fantastic. Winning in the last minute. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go indeed, Jay. I think it's you. If it's not, I apologize. Let us know who you are. And if it is Jay, it was good to meet you at the Rams game a few years ago, even if we didn't somehow win that particular game. But that must have been fantastic. Can you imagine, Scott, being in the stands at that game as a Packers fan and kind of getting your heart taken out of the game in the final minute, but knowing there's always a chance with Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, yeah. There's somebody posted in our Facebook group this week a picture, which is like a remade version of an old meme, where there's a Packer fan who took a selfie and behind him was nothing but 49ers fans cheering and celebrating. And he's like, they don't realize there's 37 seconds left in the game. And the Packer fan just had this knowing look on his face, like, just wait. It's going to happen. And I just thought that was a great meme.
And of course, the original version of that meme involves the Packers and that classic Cowboys game down in Dallas when he tossed it down there. Jared Cook tiptoeing on the sidelines to win that game. And right before we recorded this podcast, a couple more versions came out because Packers fans, we know football. And so anytime a team scores on us in the final minute or two, there's going to be Packers fans taking a picture of their selfie, especially if they're on the road. So I think there's
just in case, 3
different versions of that from yesterday's game.
Is that I remember that game? Is that where they were all like, he went to Jared?
Yeah. Yep.
I remember that. That was funny.
Wow, this is Mark from New Lisbon. It's about 10 minutes after this incredible win. This is one of the more satisfying Packer wins of the last 5-6 years. Just a tough gut check win on the road against some really bad officiating. And I don't like to make excuses, but the officials did not help Green Bay. So you overcome it. That's what good teams do. So I'm so happy for Mason Crosby, who's one of my all-time favorite Packers. I was going to call in and say he's still one of my all-time favorite Packers, even if he had missed the kick. But he's such a great kicker and clutch. Even after the timeout, he makes the kick. And Aaron Rodgers just showing his pinpoint accuracy, his touch. The last two passes to Adams were incredible against a pretty good defense. So just a great win. 2-1 feels so much better. I really think we're going to go on a roll now. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Chicago, we could very well be 5-1. So this is one of those season-changing wins. And I think Packers fans all over the country were just ecstatic. So just the offensive line guys, when I heard Leighton Jenkins was going to be out against that D-line for San Francisco, I was so worried. So Adam Stenavich is our unsung hero of the week. He's the Packers offensive line coach. I mean, they had two rookies in there and the guy that we never heard of. So a great job by the offensive line and just a great win. I can't say enough. I was going to complain a little bit about our DMs, Lancaster and Lowry, because I think we do need to upgrade there. But it's all positive tonight. Thanks for taking my call. Go Pack, go.
Thanks so much, Mark. I agree. This is one of the most satisfying Packers wins in a long time. I think the most memorable one before that was when we beat the Lions in that Hail Mary. I will never forget that one. Holy cow. I was at a bar watching the game with a bunch of friends, and that place exploded. But this one was probably a close second or third. And I agree. Mason is one of my all-time favorites. I remember loving Chris Jackie back in the day. But Mason Crosby has definitely overtaken that for sure. Packers have overcome some adversity. I like what he said about possibly a season-changing win, because that game was probably the like we've said this phrase multiple times this episode, the monkey on our back. That kind of is the turning point for us, especially after that loss against the Saints. It could be the time for us to turn things around, and the schedule for the next 3 weeks is looking a little bit easier than we had expected. So. What do you think?
Agree 100%. And it was good to hear from Mark about the props for the offensive line, because when we heard that our backup, Jenkins, was going to be out, it was a little nerve-wracking, because it's like, what are we going to do? Because, 49ers do have Bosa, but we held him in check
beast
for the most part in that game. So definite props on the coaching for the offensive line and all of that. And like he said, we had problems with mistakes on the field, the refs, but the Packers overcame.
Absolutely.
Go, Pack, go. Cannot yell because I am at work. So sorry. But know that I'm yelling in my mind. I wanted to say congratulations to the Packers. What a win. What a game last night. Talk about the good to start off. Love Aaron Jones. Love the offense. Love that they're doing a lot more quick throws. I like that they're keeping Aaron Rodgers in the pocket a lot more. I like MVS as emerging as a more consistent second wide receiver. I love Devontae Adams. Phenomenal. I think, some people argue, is he a top 3, top 5 wide receiver? I say he's number 1 because he has top 2 or 3 quarterback in the league. So that makes him number 1 in my book. The defense in the second half, I'm not really sure what happened. Maybe we got a little too cautious, playing it safe. But, the old man, Mr. Bigfoot, was pretty consistent. Gotta love him. Gotta appreciate him. He came through clutch. He's been coming through clutch his whole career with the Packers, and I'm glad that yesterday, we were able to pick him open and say, what, for 15 years, this guy's been taking care of us. We should appreciate him just a little bit more. Thank you, Mr. Long. Not Howie Long, but Ryan Long, Mr. Longwell, Mr. Bigfoot. Go, Pack, go. Love you guys. Andre in LA. Sorry for no yelling, but I am at work. Sorry. I tried to call last night. I couldn't get through for some reason.
Andre, so great to hear from you. Thanks for giving us a call at 920-3-PACK-GO. whether it's from work or out on a morning walk with really loud Go Pack Goes. Either way, you bring the knowledge. Great feedback. Thanks again, Andre. And an excellent point about good old Silver Fox, a.k.a. Bigfoot. He's been consistent for the Packers for so long, Andre, and it's good to see that he's getting a lot of great recognition because he's been clutch. Absolutely fantastic. Also, Andre, great points about the offense, how Aaron Jones is starting to get into a groove. And Davante Adams, I'm with you. I don't see how anybody can not have Davante Adams as the number one wide receiver in all of the NFL. Number two at the absolute lowest. But great victory, much needed victory, and hope you had a great day at work. It was good to hear from you. Thanks again, Andre, and go Pack, go.
Going back to what Andre said about running the ball heavy, I still feel like we're relying on the pass more than anything else. I mean, we're running the ball more than we had in years past for sure, but I have such high hopes for Dylan. The size of that dude and the power that he's got, I'm just waiting for him to have an explosive game like Jones did last week. And if we could have two backs pulling a running game and just really throwing off defenses in the future, man, we could really make a pull for the playoffs. So yeah, for sure, I like the running game, but it's also fun to watch the passing. So
a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I think Andre enjoyed the A.J. Dillon that we did get this week. I think, although he hasn't had a huge breakout game just yet, he's getting a little more every single week. And if that continues, we're going to see some fun stuff against Pittsburgh this week. But yes, thank you so much for your calls. Also, we had our weekly poll in the Facebook group, which you can find at PackersCommunity.com, as well as on Twitter at Packers Fan Pod. And thanks to you, Scott, for the question this week, because I was drawing a blank. You wanted to know, how are you feeling, Packers fans, about Aaron Rodgers' commitment to the team this season now that we're 3 games in? And the options were no doubt that Aaron Rodgers is 100% in, or he might still have some reservations. Guess how it went down, Scott?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it went heavily in favor of Rodgers being 100% in. Because that's where
more than heavily. In fact, it was almost 100% of the votes saying that we are confident that he is 100% in. 95% voted that way. So feeling good about that.
I've never lost the faith. I was not buying into Aaron Rodgers being the worst thing for the team, which my friends who are Packers fans have been telling me over the past couple weeks. Like, no, he's a Packer. He just wants a little bit more respect. Yeah. He wants some of that Tom Brady love. And I mean, why not? I don't know. I could go on that for forever, but let's go to some of the comments on the poll, man.
Yeah, we got some posts and comments in the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community group. Say that 10 times fast. Dictus in the Netherlands made a great point about our win. He said, "This is so much more than a win. This is exercising demons."
There you go. He also added, "This win is soul cleansing, man. We needed this. Don't even care about the record. We needed to beat San Francisco. Could not agree more." Superman Aaron Peterson also chimed in, said defense almost lost it, but Rodgers and Crosby clutched it again. Scott Bors shared his great Mason Crosby meme. There's a picture of him, celebrating after getting the kick, and the caption says, "Mason Crosby's game-winning field goal traveled 4 yards farther than the Bears' offense did all day."
Wow!
And I feel I feel guilty ragging on the Bears sometimes because it's all gonna come full circle some point.
Oh.
I just, but Justin Fields was sacked 9 times in that game, dude.
In one game.
In one game. It was insane.
This is why I am blown away whenever a team gets a rookie quarterback high in the draft and they just can't help themselves to put him in way too early and possibly getting him demolished. I mean, in preseason, Justin Fields said, the game's not too fast for me. I'm fine. And I'm thinking, dude, this is preseason. You wait till the regular season, you're going to get your bell rung. And he did. So nothing against Justin Fields, but the Bears still, I do want to give a quick shout out to everyone listening to the Packers Fan Podcast on the Podcasting 2.0 players that sent us some boosted sats over the past week and sent streaming sats as well. It's much appreciated. Now, if you're listening, would be a great time to boost if you have that ability. It's also a great time to switch to the shiny new Podcasting 2.0 podcast players. If you haven't done so already, I use the Fountain app, but there's a whole bunch of them available on iOS and on Android. Check them out at newpodcastapps.com.
Let's go ahead and read some emails. First one comes from Jared, who says, in a game where the refs tried their hardest to determine the outcome themselves, it was nonetheless a good old-fashioned ground-and-pound match of football. A shootout of heart attack pack proportions. Rodgers proved once again that less than a minute left with no timeouts is too much time to give him to drive down the field and put the team in a position to score. Aside from a couple of dud drives, the offense came out and executed their plan well in the face of a suffocating defense. Matt LaFleur finally showed me he's able to stick to the run game in the face of adversity, and Davante Adams continues to prove his dominance on the football field. Defensively, it was quite the mixed bag. Overall, I'd give them a C- if I were to grade them. Although they made some awesome stops, there's still too many large chunk plays that they give up to make me comfortable, especially when it comes to penalties. That aside, I was excited to see Stokes get some quality reps with King's absence. If he continues to play at this level, I think he'll take the starting spot. As for other cons, special teams continues to struggle, although our new punter is a bright spot. And as much as I love seeing the Rodgers to Adams connection, I think he defaults to Adams and forces the ball to him a bit too much for my taste. All in all, hell of a win. The green and gold finally marched into Levi Stadium and beat the 49ers, proving to everyone that despite the struggles, they can come out on top over top-tier teams. Until next week, go Pack Go, and happy healing to all of our beloved players. Thank you, Jared. Really appreciated that email.
Excellent email. And I do love the shout out at the end for happy healing to the beloved players, because Devontae's got to be hurting today in some fashion or another. And then a few plays later, Aaron Jones was limping off the field a little bit. So hopefully that's not too serious. Also got an email from CCR in Titletown, USA. Boy, what a stressful game we just had against the 49ers. Although we won, we're still skeptical about how we're going to do against the Steelers this week. It's kind of ridiculous we're giving up so many yards every game. Vince Lombardi once said, "What the hell is going on out there?" And another thing we hated were the no calls on the 49ers that the refs missed, like the blow to the head on Davante Adams. But all in all, we're very happy with the outcome. We really got to start producing a bit more on defense, though. But no matter what, go Pack Go, bleed green and gold, till dead and cold. Caleb, Kathy, and Roy Fisher.
Awesome. Another email says, Wayne Henderson and Spicy Stat Clark, Stephen Verheeren checking in from Palos Park, Illinois, where the hometown Chicago Bears still, well, you know.
It's true.
The game really started like it was going to be easy, but sadly how that got changed around. But somebody needs to remind the Green Bay Packers that football is 60 minutes long of 4 quarters of 15 minutes each. Stay tuned for my keys to victory in a little while, Stephen. I agree with you. You would have thought at the start of the game there would be not much, if any, lowlights of the game. The Packers win the game 30-28 with Mason Crosby kicking a 51-yard field goal. And now the Packers don't have another night game until week number 8, but for sure, as with Wayne Henderson's favorite saying, saving our bacon, I have to say it, that it was Mason Crosby that saved our bacon. And now for the Packers' next game, which is next Sunday afternoon. The Packers will have their first game at 3:25 since week number 1 of the season, and they will return to Lambeau Field, where they will host the Pittsburgh Steelers, who lost to the Bengals today by a score of 24-10. And I just have to say, it, but the Heart Attack Pack are back. And with the Packers winning the game by 2 points, it will be interesting to hear about in the podcast on who between Wayne Henderson and Scott Clark gets the points for this game, which I'm sure that Scott will have the math done. And yes, I do have the math done. The Packers seem to have started like how movies could go with a strong start, but then ran out of gas by the end of the game. And with the 3:25 kickoff next week will also be the Packers' last kickoff at 3:25 until week 9 with the Kansas City Chiefs. That will be the Packers' extra game. Hey, Scott, are you going to celebrate the victory with a meal from Culver's? Also, do you have a favorite flavor of their custard that you'd like to get after your meal? I'm going to check out for now, but as always, I can't wait to hear the thoughts in the game. Stephen Verheeren. Thank you so much, Stephen. Boy, it's really hard to nail down a favorite custard flavor at Culver's, but I really do like the butter pecan quite a bit. That one is really solid.
That's kind of a stylish choice, like somebody that enjoys tea would have that kind of flavor. It sounds good, though.
Oh, man. It's really good.
Yeah,
really good.
My kids and their spouses just got back from their trip up to Green Bay. They had a fantastic time going to the Monday night
Did they go to Culver's?
Believe it or not, they did not go to Culver's.
Oh, my goodness.
But they did go to enough places and had cheese curds that my daughter-in-law was able to make. She said, I'm going to make a spreadsheet out of this, ranking the top 5 cheese curds we had on the trip. But the obvious winner coming up at number 1 are the cheese curds at the 1919 restaurant at Lambeau Field, because those things are magical. But
they're good.
So no Culver's. I couldn't believe it. Anyway.
I can't believe it either. Thanks to everybody for all your calls, emails, comments, and support. It is very humbling and much appreciated. You too can join the Packers Fan Facebook community and be part of the conversation if you like. If you want to do that, head over to packerscommunity.com, especially on game day for our live game discussion thread, which is always a good fun time, win or lose.
Yeah, it really blew up this week. There was like 160 comments, a lot of good stuff, lots of action. And with this upcoming game being at a regular time for the most part, I think that will help our friends in Ireland and the Netherlands and the UK and England and around Europe to be able to participate a bit more. So to sum it up, there is no place like home. Your 2-1 Green Bay Packers are hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers Sunday, October 3rd at 3:25 p.m. Central, which is a great time, like I mentioned, so we can get more listener feedback time and all that good stuff. And speaking of time, all time, the Packers do lead the series 19 games to 16, but really counts is us beating the Steelers in the Super Bowl with AR-12, Clay Matthews and the gang. Seems more recent than it really was, but that's the game I remember most. The Pittsburgh Steelers did play their first ever road game in the NFL at City Stadium, October 15th, 1933, which was a Packers victory 47-0.
Interesting. I got some interesting facts about the Packers and Steelers history as well, Wayne.
Bring them on.
This will actually be only the 8th meeting in the last 25 years. And in fact, Rodgers missed the last 2 matchups against the Steelers because he was out with a broken collarbone. The last time he faced them was in Super Bowl 2011, and we all know how that turned out. Also, there was a meeting in September of 1992, September 27th to be exact, was actually Brett Favre's first official start in the NFL after Mikowski's injury. You remember he came in and replaced him after the game prior, which I believe was the Bengals. I think so.
That sounds about right.
But it happened to be against the Steelers, and the Pack won that game by a score of 17-3, handing Bill Cowher his first loss as head coach. So there's a little bit of history between the Packers and the Steelers, so it should be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, a lot of memorable games considering we haven't played them all that many times. Packers are currently 7.5-point favorites, but that doesn't really matter. Just throwing it out there for fun. Sunday afternoon's weather in Green Bay is forecast to be overcast with a high of 66 degrees Fahrenheit, about 19 degrees Celsius, and that sounds just about perfect to me.
I agree. Perfect football weather. Maybe a little cooler, actually. So you're having a sweatshirt on or whatever. But Wayne, I've got some keys to a Packers victory, and my first one will sound very familiar after hearing Steven's email. 4 quarters of defense. The Packers defense had a great first half against the Niners, but if we're going to win the division and make progress in the playoffs, then they have to be up to the challenge for the entire game. I believe these guys will be motivated after this week to prove that these last 2 weeks were no more of a fluke than the New Orleans game in the opposite direction. So regardless of the score, the defense should go into each quarter with the mentality that they're behind, and stopping is an absolute must. It's all about psychology, in my opinion. Secondly, let's play that 37-second drill before there's 37 seconds left in the game. What do you think? Sure, the offense looked incredible this week, but I'd like to see the Packers just explode with points this week against the Steelers. This will be our best bet to do just that, as it's almost an easier matchup than the Lions, knock on wood, if this past week is any evidence of the Steelers anyway. With that said, I'd like to see more Rodgers and Adams connections like we saw at the end of this game, but in the first half with a hurry-up offense. No heart attack pack this week, please. Now, lastly, this one is kind of just a hot take for me, Wayne. But I want Rodgers to take a little bit of a different approach to snaps. We all know that he's well known for his successful attempts to draw the defense off sides, so much so that he hasn't been able to pull it off. He's only been pulling it off a couple times this season. It was happening all the time in past years. It's not working. They're onto him a little bit. So, quite frankly, the defense have been prepared for it. So, if I were Coach LaFleur, I would be encouraging Rodgers and the offense to stop waiting for the play clock to wind down to try to keep doing that pull them off sides thing. Instead, throw them off their game and snap the ball with up to 10 seconds remaining. They're so used to him trying to draw a foul, they might not be expecting it, and our receivers and running backs can get a much-needed jump for easy yardage. I think he should start mixing that up a little bit.
Ooh, I like it. A little variety.
Yeah.
Those are fantastic keys to victory. And, yeah, I don't want it to be a heart attack pack game again. I can't handle it. I need to chill a little bit with the Packers. But, yeah, that's a great point that back in the day, Aaron Rodgers, and he picked up a lot of this from Brett Favre, it worked all the time pulling teams off sides. But it's funny to think about that the other 31 teams, any of them that have to play the Packers in a particular season, must devote about an hour or two of practice in prep for the Packers, just focusing on not falling for it. And it appears to be working. So good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the concentration of some of the defenders this week, just staring at that ball, they're like trying to ignore, just tune out Rodgers' voice altogether and just wait for that ball motion. And they're onto him. You got to switch it up. It's been great, but I think if you want to get those opportunities, you need to take advantage of that focus and jump the gun a little bit early to throw them off their game a little bit. Well, our score predictions for last week, I predicted that the Packers would win 24-20. Wayne predicted 27-24 in favor of the Packers. Unfortunately, Wayne has once again triumphed because my differential was 14 points and his differential was 7 points. So I am now behind the 8 ball, as it were, and I've got 2 games to catch up on. So I'm going to say for the game against the Steelers, I think we'll win a little bit of a bigger gap than we did against the 49ers, but I'm still going to say 27-17.
That is pretty low scoring if the Packers do decide to follow your keys to victory. But 27-17.
I hope they do.
Okay. And I'm going to say Packers are going to win this game 31-20. So I also think, we're only going to win by about 11, though I'd love to see us win by 21. But, we'll take what we can get and keep the wager of fun going. Let's see what happens, because in the NFC North, the Packers are in first place all by themselves at 2-1. The Bears are 1-2. The Vikings are 1-2, and which is nothing to brag about, but I saw so many Vikings fans posting out "Skol," and I'm thinking, lol. And of course, speaking of lol, how about the Lions 0-3? Sorry, Jared Goff. They're bound to get a win. They're not going to be like 0-17, but whew.
And again, to be fair, they should have won that game if the refs had called the correct delay of game penalty. But it is what it is, unfortunately. And speaking of some other interesting happenings in the NFL this week, already alluded to it, but Justin Tucker from the Ravens broke an NFL record this week, a 66-yard field goal to win the game against the Lions in the final seconds. It hit the crossbar and bounced into the net. I was watching that game, obviously cheering for the Ravens because I wanted a divisional rival to lose, and I saw that bounce, and I had flashbacks of doinks and double doinks with the Bears and thinking, it's going to bounce and bounce in, but then I saw it hit the net, and I about lost it. My wife and I were cheering and screaming. It was great. This was the longest, obviously this is the NFL record, but the longest before that was in 2013 by Matt Prater with the Broncos, which was a 64-yarder, not a game winner by any means, but it was a last play before the first half of the game. Or at the end of the first half, excuse me. And fun fact, Wayne, this is only the 25th successful field goal from at least 60 yards in the entire NFL season. I thought that was pretty cool. Also, interestingly enough, speaking of Matt Prater, he attempted a 68-yarder against, but it was the Cardinals playing the Jaguars. He shorted it, however, and out of nowhere, Jamal Agnew ran it back from the back of the end zone all the way for a score, which obviously ties the NFL record of a 109-yard return for a touchdown. It was an insane play to watch because you don't expect a run back on a field goal. But obviously, if you kick a field goal and short it, that's a live ball, and he had that awareness to run it back, and it was obviously well worth it. I've watched that play so many times.
And you certainly wouldn't expect the run back to actually truly make it all the way to the other end zone. That was pretty exciting. I thought the Jags were finally going to get a win and get this season turned around, but maybe next week.
Maybe next week. Well, I'll tell you what, Wayne, if you or any of the listeners out there love playing video games as much as I do, I want to remind you of another podcast that I have called The Gaming Outsider, where we chat about my favorite hobby each week. And this week, we're taking a deep dive into Nintendo's Direct, which is a live stream event where they showcase a ton of fun coming for the Switch later this year. And we're going to really kind of pick that apart and have a lot of fun with it because there were some really cool announcements. So please do me a favor, check it out. Our website is thegamingoutsider.com, and you can also listen to those episodes at the same place you listen to this very show.
Oh, yeah. We do have the value for value model here at your Packers Fan Podcast. Details at patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast. That's a shocker right there. Thank you to Dan Dyler for your Jim Ringo level Patreon support. That deserves one of your classic go Pack goes, like you'll hear him do for real at the end of the show because he's got that down pat. Also, hearty thanks and go Pack goes to listener Bryant for his Willie Wood inspired level support and rolling out the welcome mat with a giant Packers G on it to our brand new Patreon supporter at the Aaron Rodgers inspired $12 level, Jay Walters. You rock. Oh, and Go Pack Go.
Let's keep those Go Pack Goes going. Thank you to our Brett Favre level supporters, Jeff Summerfield, Lawrence Harvey, Andre in LA, Colum Nolan from Ireland, and Miguel Ramirez from the Opposites Attract podcast. Also, we've got some Curly Lambo Go Pack Goes for the pledges from Matt Davis from the TPE Network of Podcasts, Matt Haig, Beth Mentink, and Joe Christensen. Thanks again to everybody for all of your support. We invite you also to check out how you can share your love for the show. Details can be found at patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast. As a reminder, we are the Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, not yet affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers, but we would absolutely love to be. Please follow the Packers Fan Podcast where you listen to your podcasts and tell your friends about the show. It's the season after all, so please tell a friend.
So are you about to say Happy Holidays or Merry Christmas? Is that the season we're speaking of?
No, dude, not even close. No.
Well, ho, ho, ho rhymes with Go Pack Go.
Yes,
and I don't think that's an accident. Anyway, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Packers Fan Pod, at GoCastScott, and me at Wayne Henderson. And to help amp us up to root the Packers onto a victory against the Steelers, we're going to be on quite a roll this coming Sunday. It's Dan Dyler.
Hey, Packers Fan Podcast listeners. This is your cheesehead from Indianapolis, Dan. And I have just two words for you. Go, 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 Pack, go!